Good evening all, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, 12 Killer Tactics for Trade Show Success. We're thrilled to host Udi Ledergor, the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, The 50 Secrets of Trade Show Success. Udi is a 4-time VP of Marketing who planned and managed hundreds of trade shows around the globe. This webinar is not Trade Show 101. It is for people who have done trade shows in the past. We will discuss ways you can improve your trade show practices and results by doing things differently before, during, and after the show. We will leave time for Q&A at the end of the session. During the webinar, you can type your question in the question window in the GoToWebinar user interface, and your question will be answered in the session or privately afterwards. So without further ado, Udi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Neta, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm thrilled to be here. So as Neta told you, I personally managed or planned hundreds of trade show booths, and I've picked up a few insights along the way, which I'm hoping to share with you all today. So we're going to talk about the 3 parts of planning a trade show: the pre-show, the at-show or the on-the-floor part, and then the post-show campaigns, which are no less important in my eyes than the rest of the planning. So let's get started. I have 4 tips for you for the pre-show part. 4 tips for the at-show part and 4 tips for the post-show part. And in between the 3 parts, we're going to take a quick raise of hands and do a couple of fun polls to see where you guys stand on a few questions. So let's get started. So pre-show. Probably the most important thing you can do is generate buzz. What you want to do is send out email campaigns calling people to come meet you. You can do this through your email mailing list. You can do this on your social channels. If you've got a Facebook channel or a Twitter handle, or if you're using visual platforms like Instagram or Pinterest, this is the time to do that. You want to promote your specials that you're going to be launching at the show, or special bundles and pricing packages that you're launching at the show. And of course, this is a great time to debut any new products you have. So get creative. Think about what will bring people to the show. If it's something new, either product-wise or pricing-wise, that would probably be a great idea. Another idea to launch is to bring people in for pre-scheduled meetings. So feel free to send out as if you have limited time slots, and tell people that you're giving them first refusal, asking them to schedule some time with you at the show. You can also offer a personal gift for people who pre-schedule their meeting, and that of course will allow you to get a lot more out of the show. Okay, let's move along. This is some of the back office planning. There's no glitz or glamour in this, but this is really something you need to do to get the most out of your time at the show. You want to figure these things out before you actually leave for the show. So one thing you want to do is define your success criteria. What are your sales goals? How are they distributed among product lines? What are your goals for each person on the floor with you at the show? How many of the show specials do you expect to sell, et cetera, et cetera? How many new clients do you expect to sell to at this show? How many repeat clients are you hoping to meet at the show? So you want to set your criteria, otherwise there's no way to make sure that you're getting and you're hitting your numbers. And of course, if you want to improve from year to year, you want to make sure you track these numbers, and we'll talk about the analytics at the end. So you want to set your success criteria as far as products, as far as the different promotions, and which retailers you want to target at the show. Next thing you want to do is implement these. Now you can do this the old school way. You can do this with dedicated software, whatever works for you. You want to set up your pricing and special offers. So you want to make sure you know that everyone at your booth is offering the same deals to the same types of customers. So you want to make sure that you train the team, that they all have this written in front of them. What are the special deals for the show? You want to make sure that you have digital and printed collateral, so things you can show on tablets or computers to the audience at your booth, things that you can give them out as they leave the booth. We talked about the staff training. The last thing, of course, is the pre-show promotions, and we talked about that in the previous slides of using your social channels and emails so people know in advance and can plan to meet you and know what you're offering at the show this year. Okay, let's talk a little bit about booth design. Booth design is something that is oftentimes left for the last minute, and then you end up pulling out last year's design, or just putting something together that didn't have enough thought put into it. And I think booth design can really bring a crowd to your booth if they see something different. And that's what I suggest you focus on. So one thing I would say is use bold colors. I know oftentimes we use sort of elegant pastel basic colors, but those tend to blend in rather than stand out. So you want to be bold in your use of colors. If you see everyone else around you last year doing, I don't know, blue and green booths, so you should go with the orange. You really want to make your booth stand out by contrasting it to the booths around it. So if you have been to the show before and you know what other booths next to you are doing, chances are they're going to do a repeat show of what they did last year. So this is your chance to stand out by just being different, using different colors. On the same theme, you want to do the opposite basically with whatever everyone else around you is doing. So if everyone's booth is, I don't know, 8 feet tall, why don't you get approval and try and build a 16-foot high booth and try and make it stand out. If you can get hanging elements from the ceiling above your booth, I know they cost extra, but they are so worth it, because just the fact that you're going to be the tallest booth in your aisle, or the fact that you have a moving element above your booth that people can see from the aisles, that will bring in people to see what all the commotion is about. And finally, I would say the last 2 tips for the booth design: use very little text. I've seen pretty badly designed booths that someone mistook for a product data sheet. So they basically printed a lot of words on them telling who they are and what their history is and what their product line includes. No one wants to read this, okay? The backdrop of your booth is not a data sheet. It actually should be designed like a billboard, which means no more than 3 to 5 words. They should always be at the very top of the back wall to your booth, because remember, anything that's below your head height won't be able, no one will be able to read it, because the view will be obstructed by you and the people standing at the booth. So I want to make sure that the little text that you do use is at the very top of your booth, and everything else is just plain graphics that if people don't get to see all of it, which they won't, it won't harm the message that you're trying to get across. And then finally, other than color and text, you want to use very minimalistic graphics. Try and go for one big, bold graphic like the one that you saw here, or the ballet dancer that we saw earlier with the colors. They work so much better, both when people look at them from afar. Imagine you're standing, I don't know, 100 yards away down the aisle. You won't get any very detailed graphics or use of lots of details and intricate ornaments. You will get a big, bold graphic like this, and this will draw you closer to the booth. And of course, once you're standing at the booth, this is very, very effective, because this also helps you stand out by simply doing something a little bit different. And don't be afraid to go against the grain. If everyone in your industry is doing something, you don't have to follow suit. You can actually do something exactly opposite and get all that traffic to you. Okay, it's time for a very quick poll, just to ask you guys how many trade shows you go to every year. So Neta, this is your time to shine, and let's run the poll and get people to raise their hands and see how many trade shows you do every year. And I promise to share the results with you in just 1 minute. So as soon as we're ready.
You should be seeing the poll on your screens right now.
Give you just a few more seconds. I see all the answers coming in. This is great.
Great participation.
Yeah, but 90% of you have voted. Come on, last lazy ones, you know who you are. I can see your names. Okay, no shaming today. I'm just joking. Okay, I'll give it 2 more seconds. Okay, we have well over 90% voted, which is great. So actually, it turns out that the largest group amongst you is doing 3 to 5 shows a year. And then about the same number of you are doing either 6 to 9 shows, 10 or more shows, or 1 to 2 shows. It's exactly the same percentage, which is wonderful. But the largest group among you are doing 3 to 5 shows, which is a great number to be at. All right. Let's keep going. So we talked about some of the pre-show promotions and ideas on how to plan and design your booth. Let's talk about what we should do at the show to maximize achieving our goals. So tip number 1 is make sure you've got your A team at the show. And I mean this on a couple of levels. A, if you have people that are just nice people looking for a vacation out of the office, but they're not great at selling, you probably want to send them on a vacation, but not to your next trade show. You want to bring to the trade show people who can really close the deals. And on that level, I want to divide them into two groups. One of them I call the hunters, and the other I call either the gatherers or the customer champs. These are guys who know how to nurture a relationship. So obviously you're going to be meeting a lot of repeat customers, and they want their time at the booth, and they want to see what's new, and they want to shoot the breeze a little with someone, hopefully that they know, their account manager. So you want to really divide the work at the booth and make sure there's first a seating area for meeting customers, maybe some refreshments, some gifts to give them, but also have your best people for that job sit there meeting the customers. And then you want the hunters. Those are the guys that are not afraid of rejection. They're standing at the front of the booth. They're drawing people inside, because if you've been to a trade show before, you know the people are not just going to walk in without being called. You need to be proactive here and have your best hunters standing at the perimeter of the booth drawing people in, while your customer champs or relationship building people are sitting inside in the meeting area working with the customers that they're meeting. All right. Let's talk about the in-booth experience that you're creating. So up to a while ago, it was common to see booths giving out giveaways, and they still do that by all means. But a very interesting trend that we're seeing in the last couple of years is companies like you creating in-booth experiences. And examples that we've seen work effectively are either have a chair massage coming in, so visitors can come, put their feet up for a couple of minutes, lean back and get a quick massage. Food and drinks are always welcome. Shoe shine is great if you're in an area where you're getting people with shoes that need to be shined, especially on a rainy day. That would work very well. So be creative. Think about what kind of food and beverages you can serve, what kind of treatments you can give. You don't want to do something too elaborate that will be either too costly or take too much time, because you don't want the same people to stick around for an hour. You ideally want something that takes, say, 5, maximum 10 minutes, and that will leave a memorable impression on your booth visitors, which of course portrays on your brand. It means that you're a giver, not only a taker, which is very, very important in this business. And even if someone just comes in for the massage and doesn't buy from you that day, they'll already remember you because you're the guys who gave them the free massage at the show. And if one of your sales reps calls them a week later asking them if they enjoyed the massage because you took their business card, it's a whole different starting point to the business relationship once they've had that experience at your booth. So definitely consider experiences like this. Okay. Let's talk about new customer acquisition at the booth. So here's the basic flow chart that we suggest. First, as I said earlier, you want to engage customers outside the booth. You have to draw them in. That means that your staff is standing there, not eating a sandwich, not checking their emails on their mobile phone, not huddling and talking to each other. That's really bad. If someone needs a break, they do that outside of the booth. Send them to a public area to sit and have their coffee and eat. We do not eat at the booth. We don't drink. We don't check our emails. We don't huddle together. We don't sit with our feet up. We stand outside with our arms open. We don't cross our arms. We don't cross our legs. And we welcome people with a smile. We ask them how their day is going and bring them in, hopefully to see our new products. Okay, that makes a whole world of a difference. Once we bring them in, we want to very quickly ask about their preferences, see what their business is, so we can immediately zero in on the most relevant products to these people. Okay, they're very busy. They've got 200 other booths to visit. If you start detailing your entire product line to them, you're going to lose them very quickly. So you first want to ask and listen, and only then you want to tell them about the products that you have on special, hopefully matching those products to their exact needs. Okay, and finally, you want to offer them the most relevant introductory pricing if they're new customers, or the show specials that you have for existing customers if they're return customers. A bit more about this. Let's talk about the order taking process. Okay, so first of all, you want to save time. One way of saving time at the booth is using an e-catalog. Okay, there are several of them on the market. You want to use that's specifically made for the trade show, that you can put in all the promotions that you set up before the show. Preferably you want to use barcode scanning, so if someone sees a product on display that he likes, you can quickly scan it and it comes up with the full specifications, pricing, whether it's in stock or not, and you can see that immediately at the booth. One other consideration you want to take is that if you've been to trade show, you know this, that internet connection are very unstable at shows. There are thousands of people trying to connect to the internet. It doesn't matter how well prepared the organizers are, inevitably the internet is going to stop working for significant periods of time. And it doesn't really matter if you paid for a wired connection or if you're using the paid or even the free Wi-Fi. They're all going to drop, and you're going to be left offline for limited periods of times here and there. You want to make sure that if you are using any types of software at your booth for taking stock, for showing e-catalogs, you want to make sure that that software knows how to work offline, because it's not if, it's just when you're going to use you're going to lose internet connection. So you want to be prepared for that. And nothing sucks more than sitting with a customer and the internet connection is down and you can't browse to your website. So make sure you're using an e-catalog that has full offline capabilities. Finally, once the order is made, you'll want to print out an immediate confirmation, a hard copy. You want to immediately send that out by email to the customer to leave as little work as possible for you after the show. Doing so and having your entire order system and e-catalog available to you at the booth means that the customer leaves happy because he has a hard copy confirmation and he has the soft copy waiting in his email box. You both knew what's in stock and what's not, and when the show ends, there's no manual work for you to do to punch in all the paperwork that you did at the show. You did it all online at the show, and you're ready to start supplying. The final point here I want to make is that if you're using an online system that's connected to your head office or to your warehouse, that means the people in the warehouse can start working on shipping those orders even while you're taking orders at the show, which is a huge plus if you're ahead of the holiday season, if time is of the essence and customers want to get their shipments as quickly as possible. You don't have to wait till after the show to start dealing with it. You have someone in the back office dealing with them as they come in. Okay, it's time for another quick poll, number 2 of our 3 polls today. So you were very cooperative on the first one. Let's see how you do on the second one. Okay, so our second poll is, do you have plans to equip your sales rep with a mobile app for catalog order taking? In other words, are you considering an app like some of those that we just discussed? Is that something that you're looking to equip your salespeople with at one of your next shows? So I'll let Netta come up with a poll. Here we go. All right. Please cast your votes now. Okay, about half of you are there. I'm looking at the other half. We're almost there.
Seems like we have a great audience today, Udi.
We do have a great audience. Very receptive. Very cooperative. Wonderful. 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Okay, we got 87%, 88% of you to answer this time. Wonderful. So I see that about 82% of you plan on exploring the possibility of using a mobile app in the next 6 months, which is great news because that's really the wave of the future and the way you should go. If you're still working only with manual paperwork, you know the limitations by now. And you're probably looking to explore making your booth more efficient, taking orders more quickly, and making sure your customers leave the booth happy with all the paperwork that they need. All right. So we talked about the pre-show. We talked a bit about the in-booth experience. Here are some examples of Pepperi's mobile app. I promise you I'm getting back to the post-show campaign in just a sec. Here you can see an example of how an e-catalog would look like that works perfectly both offline and online. You can quickly look at the past orders from a customer who walks in, so you can offer him the right products for him based on his past orders. And you can see that here on the right we have a very simple order form that looks like a B2C shopping cart, and that makes the whole shopping experience very, very familiar and easy to streamline with any customer, new or existing. All right, so we talked about the pre-show preparations. We talked about some best practices for use at the booth. Let's talk a bit about the post-show campaigns and actions that you should take. So one thing is definitely keeping in touch and engaging with your customers, okay? One way to do this is based on what they bought or based on a sample that they took or a gift that you gave them, to quickly email them. I would do this on the first or second business day after the show. First of all, thanking them for coming by and reminding them of what they took, whether it was a giveaway or a sample, and then offering them another gift, which could be extending one of your show specials, say until the end of the week or till the end of the month, to create a sense of urgency and of scarcity. You don't want to make them feel that you're desperate for clients. You're not. but since they gave you some of their valuable time at the booth just a few days ago, you're open to extending the special offers for just a couple of more weeks if they place their order now. Once you've reminded them of the first gift that you gave them at the booth, and then you're giving them basically another gift by extending a special offer, this is time to collect more qualifying information, which will help you segment them for future promotions and future emails. So for example, if you want to know what kind of audiences they sell to, or how many products they sell every month, or any question that would help you match the best offer for them in the future, you can ask for that information in a simple online form at this point when you're offering them basically another promotion. So what the flow would look like is, hey Bob, it was great seeing you at the show last week. I hope you enjoyed the shoe samples you took. I'd love to extend the special offer that we talked about till the end of the month. Just fill out this form to claim your offer. And then as Bob fills out the form, he's asked 2 or 3 qualifying questions that would really help you if you knew that information, so you knew when is the best time to approach him and with which products. Okay, so you want to keep in touch and make sure that they get something from you, and make sure that it's not always sales offer. People will quickly unsubscribe if they get only sales offer week after week. Try and provide some valuable content as well, maybe a quick news recap of what happened in your industry in the last week, but make sure it's about addressing their needs and not talking about how great you are and how great your products are. That'll come in, say, once every 4th or 5th email, but in between you want to provide some real valuable content that people will want to continue receiving every week. Okay, another important thing to do after the show is to follow up on missed meetings, okay? So you set a lot of meetings, because we talked about that earlier, but some of them failed to show up. So what you want to do is, A, send them a link to your online catalog and say, well, hey Bob, sorry we missed you at the show, but this is the catalog of the products that we displayed at the show. You're welcome to ask me any questions or place your order now. And then for existing customers, of course, you can send them a limited time quote, again, with the show special that you're extending just for them because they missed your meeting and you know it was important for them to meet you. And you base it on their past orders, adding the special show promotions. Okay, so the fact that someone didn't show up for their meeting doesn't mean that you have to write off that sales opportunity. You just need to get in touch with them right after the show. Say, sorry we missed you. You're probably busy with other meetings, but here's the best offer we can make for you. Let's do some business. Okay. Now let's talk a bit about the metrics that you want to look at after the show. So here are a few ideas. Again, you want to mix and match. If you're not collecting or analyzing any metrics yet, you probably don't want to start with the whole list after your first show. But this is to give you a few ideas, and if you're already looking at some of these, here are a few more you probably want to look at. So one thing is, again, checking against the goals that you set for the show. How many versus existing customers did you manage to obtain at the show? If you haven't met enough existing customers, you want to check your pre-show meeting agenda. Did you not send out the invite early enough? Maybe you should have done phone follow-up after email, etc. If you're not collecting enough new customers, maybe you want to look at the training that you gave your hunters. Remember, those are the staff that are standing outside the booth pulling people in. Are they not presenting the booth in an attractive enough way? So you want to make sure that you understand why you've met or not met your goals for new and existing customers. You want to look at total sales by customer and see how you can up that number by maybe giving more specials to existing customers. You want to look at total sales by product. Which products were the best sellers? Maybe you should carry more of those. Which products were not selling well at all, and maybe they were just wasting space at your booth, and if that's the first product that people saw and it was unattractive for them, you probably lost a customer or two. So you want to look at those and make sure that from year to year, you make sure that all the products that you're selling at the booth are very attractive and drawing in customers. If they're not, don't waste any of their valuable space at the booth. The next metric you want to consider looking at is total sales by rep. So obviously, some reps are going to be better than others. I find that a little competitiveness always adds some fun to the booth. So every morning I would set a quota for each rep at the booth. How much are you going to sell? How much are you going to sell? And at the end of the day, we compare achievements, and the next day we up the numbers. It adds a lot of fun. It adds some competitiveness. You can add a little prize. You know, the loser takes everyone out to dinner on the last day of the show. Figure out something fun, or buy beers for the winner. But make it a little competitive and set achievable but not too easy goals for everyone to achieve. You're paying a lot of money to be at the show. You want to get the most out of it. The last two you want to look at are the average order size and see how you can up that number by maybe bundling a few products together. And finally, you want to look at the effectiveness of the sales campaigns. Were the campaigns that you devised really effective in getting more total sales or a larger average deal size? If not enough people were choosing your sales campaigns, you probably want to think of something a little bit different for the next show. Okay, here's one more rather simple calculation that I suggest you consider. When you want to calculate the return on investment or ROI for your trade show, you want to consider not only the at-show sales, the ones that you made on the show floor, you also want to look, say, 3 to 6 months after the show, assuming you track these electronically or manually. You want to look at all the future sales that originated at the show. That means that if you met customers for the first time at the show and they only bought a couple of weeks after the show, you do want to attribute those sales to the return on investment from the show, because 10 months later when you have to make a decision, are you going to re-exhibit at that show or not, you don't want to look only at the sales that you made on the floor, but you want to make sure that you add up to that number all the future sales that you made throughout the year that originated at the show. When you put those two numbers together, the at-show sales and the future sales, and deduct from that the investment that you made in the show, that is your true trade show ROI. Of course, you want that number to be positive. It has to be greater than 0. And assuming that you have limited time, limited people, and limited budget, you want to rank your trade shows by their ROI. And if you have to cut your budget, or if you can't be at all the shows that you have an opportunity to invest in, you want to go to those with the highest ROI. Because many times people come back from a show, they're all feel good, oh, that was great, there was a lot of people at the booth, everyone said how great we are, and there was a lot of buzz and a lot of people. But when the noise subsides a little, you look at the numbers, and then you see that some shows that maybe were quite quiet on the show floor, they actually drew in a lot of sales in the next couple of months. Those are the shows that you probably want to go to again next year. Okay, so don't forget to add together the at-show sales and the future sales that originated at that show, deduct your investment at the show, and that's how you reach your true trade show ROI. Okay, it's almost time to wrap up. So let's just quickly go through the 12 tips that we talked about today. So the pre-show part, we talked about generating a buzz on your social media, through your email list, any way you can get your message out. Try to set meetings in advance and get all your show promotions out there, including new product launches. You want to schedule meetings in advance, and you want to devise compelling sales campaigns, and obviously want to design an awesome booth. The main points we talked about are use bold colors, use minimalistic graphics, and very little text. Then next we talked about what to do at the booth. So you want to use your A-team and divide them into hunters and order takers, making sure that everyone deals with the customers that he's best at. You want to differentiate it in-booth experience. So remember the examples we talked about, maybe offering a chair massage, shoe shine, some cupcakes, donuts, beverages, cocktails, but keep them virgin if it's before lunch. And next we talked about customer acquisition that has to work like clockwork, including the flawless order taking. So do consider using an e-catalog that has offline capabilities, because your internet connection will go out at some point. And make sure you can provide your visitors with both hard copy and email them instantly with their orders, so they're happy and they know everything's in stock and being processed for them. Finally, we talked about the post-show campaigns and analytics. You want to keep engaging your leads with emails, reminding them of what they took at the booth or what they were interested in, possibly extending a special offer to them to keep the ball rolling. You want to follow up on missed meetings by sending them what they missed, and if they're an existing customer, suggesting their next order based on their past orders. You want to analyze show results. We talked about sales per sales rep, per product, per sales campaign, etc. And finally, you want to make sure that you calculate your true booth's return on investment by adding together both the at-show sales and the future sales that originated at that show. We're almost ready to take questions, so it's time for our very last poll. Netta? We'll be right back with Q&A after this final poll.
Just before the poll, I want to quickly introduce Pepperi. So we have some great, first of all, we have some great questions for Udi. He's going to answer them in 1 minute. I would like to introduce Pepperi for a minute. We have been offering our mobile commerce suite since 2011. Today we have over 1,000 customers, brands, wholesalers, distributors in 60 countries. Our customers are big and small, come from various industries. They use Pepperi in trade shows to take orders, and also for the daily work with their retailers, with chains, and with distributors. I will now present you with the last poll. Would you like to hear more about Pepperi after this webinar? So we'll give you a few more
Cast your
seconds to
votes
answer.
now.
And Udi, are you getting ready to answer the questions?
I am. Netta, why don't you pick out a couple of questions for us? We do have a lot today, and we're going to get to a few of them live, and then I believe most of them will be answered privately to make sure we don't miss anyone, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm quickly looking for something interesting. Okay, so there's one question here, and I believe this question will benefit also organizations that are not new to trade shows. So Amanda is asking, our organization is new to trade shows and is challenged in determining realistic ROI goals. What is your advice for a company like ours? And I believe this will be beneficial for veterans as well.
Okay, so I have to admit, I'll be the first to admit that estimating your ROI for the first time you appear at a certain trade show is going to be difficult. If you've done previous shows, that'll give you a good ballpark to estimate a new show and decide if it's for you. If you haven't been to trade shows at all, I would recommend going first to a show as a visitor. Walk the floors, walk into a few booths, see what's working for them, see when people are coming in and engaging with the staff when they're just walking by a booth. That'll teach you a lot about how to get started with designing your own booth, what kind of staffing you need, how many people you need per square foot at the booth. These are all things that you need to learn because they really depend on your type of business. Okay, if you're going to have your booth fully stocked with products and not enough room to put people in and meet people, then you need fewer people. If you want to just display fewer products but have more order takers there, then you're going to need more people at the booth. So the first thing I would do is send someone to a show, either the exact show that you're considering exhibiting it at and learning what it looks like, or going to a similar show if you don't want to miss the big show that you're preparing for. The second thing I would do is follow as many of the best practices that we talked about today. That will really give you a head start and the best chances of success. And finally, I would say that go easy on the first time. Don't try and rent the biggest booth you can afford. Don't stretch yourself too much. Set realistic goals. You're going to inevitably improve from one show to the next. So start with a small booth. Bring only your best-selling products. Don't try and launch anything you haven't done before, because if you do and it doesn't succeed, you won't know if you displayed these products to the wrong audience or just the product is a dud. The final thing I would say is at the end of every day of the show, and it can be very tiring after you're standing 9 or 10 at the booth, but that's the only time that people's memories are fresh. At the end of every single day at the show, as soon as the bells ring and the doors close, sit with the booth staff for 15 minutes and discuss what worked well today, what you can do better tomorrow, and you'll see that the second day gets better and the third day gets even better. Finally, at the end of the show, you want to sit with the booth staff, get some feedback from everyone, put it down in writing, because your next show could be only in 6 months, and you want to make sure that when you brief the staff for the next show, you already your starting point is all the lessons that you learned at the last show. So that's going to prove very valuable, and trust me, by the time you get back home after the show, your brain will be mush, and you will forget everything that you talked about at the booth. So it's really important to get that down in writing. So those would be my best tips for getting started with trade shows.
There's another great question here from Mary Ann. Mary Ann has a company that sells B2B, but she's not actually selling anything on the floor. She wants to know what she can do in a trade show. I guess this is a good opportunity. First of all, she wants to know how Pepperi can help. So it's a good opportunity to talk about our online catalogs, but also I think it's a good opportunity, Udi, for you to say a few words about lead generation.
Absolutely. Thanks. Great question, Marianne. So here's my 2 cents on this. If you're not selling products at the booth, what you want to sell and it's quote unquote sell. You want to sell something that's going to be attractive. It can be either an experience or a giveaway. It can be a game. It can be a raffle. But you want to give away something that people will surrender their contact details for. Okay, so for example, just pick a relatively inexpensive giveaway related to your product line. It can be a sample, but something that won't put you off by too much money. It can be just offering the free massages or free cocktails, and everyone who wants to engage in that experience or take one of the giveaways needs to surrender their contact details by either giving you a business card or allowing you to scan their visitor badges. Once you do that, you're actually building your database, which you can later use for emailing, for social media, for offering all the different offers for picking up the phone and calling people. So you want to really focus your booth on lead generation if you're not selling at the show, and make sure that you remember that people are not going to just surrender their contact details for nothing. They want something in return. Yes, you will have a few that are genuinely interested in your product line, but most of them will want to walk away with either a cocktail or a sample or a giveaway for their children. That always works very, very well. Anything that you create for children, whether it's a remote control car, a $2 teddy bear, or a kite, that'll always be very, very well received, and you will collect a lot of leads if you do that.
Wow, that's a great question. A great answer and a question. I think we'll wrap things up by getting you to answer the most important question. Is it a good idea to offer booze in your booth?
Is it a good idea to offer booze in the booth? So yes, we've done that before. A couple of tips on that though. I remember one show we designed the entire booth to look like a cruise ship, and we had this Isaac type of bartender handing out daiquiris. It worked wonderfully well. People were lining up to give us their business cards to have a drink. But do keep in mind that especially before noon, people prefer non-alcoholic drinks. Feel free towards, I'd say anything after 3 p.m. you can start offering alcohol at the booth. If you do offer closed bottles, say bottles of wine or so on, that's not usually a good idea because every area has their own regulations on where you can drink and where you can walk around with a bottle of booze, and also many times people are flying out from the trade show back home, can't carry liquids with them on the plane. So that's also something you want to keep in mind. So bottom line, probably better without, unless this is an evening cocktail event. But you can definitely do virgin cocktails with the whole paper umbrella thing and everything. It works wonderfully well. Just make sure they're virgin, non-alcoholic in the morning.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Udi. There are many questions here about the webinar itself. All webinar registrants will receive a recording of this webinar. And those of you who wanted us to contact them after the webinar will be contacted by Pepperi staff in the coming days. So I'd like to thank Udi again for being with us this evening or this morning. And
Thank you very much for having me.
Looking forward to seeing all of you online in our next webinar. Have a nice day.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.